Welcome to the All Jammed Up podcast, presented to you by Music Never Stopped. Today is Thursday, July 3rd, and today on the podcast, we have Cotter Ellis.
What are you doing, podcast for lot?
Yeah.
Come be on a lot podcast.
Yeah, hell yeah, All Jammed Up.
This dude's doing a podcast. If you want to be on some podcast, come give an interview.
Hell yeah.
All
Good morning, fools. Welcome to the All Jammed Up podcast. Today is July 3rd. I'm your host, Clint Dotson. And ladies and gentlemen, we got somebody from Goose. I know it's a polarizing band. Some of us love them, some of us hate them. But either way, we fucking got Cotter Ellis. Pretty cool to get somebody from Goose. I know we were supposed to have Moonshroom today, but just issues with scheduling. We had to reschedule that one. So that one will be Monday, and it kind of works out well anyways because it ended up being a longer interview than I anticipated. Those guys were awesome. But today we have Cotter Ellis, a super long Khloe's Corner on the back end. Cotter and I talk about all kinds of things, him joining Goose, the primal feeling he has when he gets on the stage. And man, he's an interesting guy. The first couple minutes are kind of slow, as these virtual interviews can be. You know, he's somewhere trying to find somewhere quiet to go, making sure our connections are working. So first 3 or 4 minutes or so, kind of slow, but then we get into it. It's a great interview. You guys are going to love it. So enjoy your 4th of July. I hope if you're traveling, I gave you a little podcast, something to have fun for. And we'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend, and let's go, Cotter Ellis.
Hey, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
All right, guys, we are here with Cotter from Goose. How we doing today, man?
Great. How are you?
Doing good, dude. I wish that we could have done this in person like we had planned, but American Airlines just had other plans for me and going to Mountain Jam this weekend.
Yep. That's all good, man.
It happens. How was the show yesterday?
It was great.
Cool, man.
It
Yeah,
was,
you guys had Michaela Davis sitting with you too, right?
Yeah. Which was, I'm the one who came to the band and was like, we need to do this because I'm a huge fan of her music.
Okay. Nice.
And it turned out really well. It worked great in the couple tunes she played.
And you guys played 2 sets yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, nice. Well, man, I want to just kind of rewind all the way back to before Goose, before Swimmer, and kind of talk what got you. So I read online that you started playing percussion because you had a crush on a girl in your class or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I started on saxophone when I was in like 5th grade.
Okay.
Or 4th grade. And then I was in like the school band, and there was a girl I had a crush on who was in the percussion section of the school band. So I switched to drums, but then immediately started taking drum set lessons and fell in love with playing the kit.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And were there like any percussionist or drummer like at that time that you were kind of like, I want to be like him, or you just kind of loved playing him?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so I immediately started a band when I started playing the drum kit, and I basically learned how to play the drum kit in a band with a lot of other people. A lot of like my buddies who were also learning their instruments at the same time, all doing like, we were doing like Green Day covers and Sum 41. It was like a pop punk cover band. And then we stayed together until we all went to college. So it became like a pretty legitimate band, going from 5th grade to college. But yeah, I was always really like, I loved obviously Travis Barker and like Trey Cool, but I also loved Rush, and Neil Peart was like my all-time hero. John Bonham in Led Zeppelin was an immediate hero, and he still is like probably the greatest rock and roll drummer of all time, in my opinion. So, and Neil Peart, I still think was an absolute genius, but my style definitely strayed from that. Like when I was a kid, I used to go around the Berkeley campus, and I would pick up, or like wherever, and I would pick up old toms and drums that were in the trash, and then I would I would use a fucking wow. Sorry, I'm still waking up here. But
You're
like,
good,
I
man.
would like strap these drums to chairs because I didn't have stands, just so I could add toms to my little crappy kit that I had in my bedroom. Just so I could have like a bunch of toms like Neil Peart. I don't know if you're familiar with his drum
Yeah.
set, but it was like huge. It rotated. That was like that blew my mind as a kid. So that was one of my first inspirations for sure.
And so the pop punk stuff that band from fifth grade to college, you guys were doing like pop punk the whole time. You never got into like the jam world. It was more just like that.
No, I mean, uh, I was really into, we were into the ska scene, like Catch
Okay.
22, Streetlight Manifesto. We did a lot of
Less
that
than
type of
Jake, a
stuff.
little less than Jake.
Less Than Jake, for sure.
Hell
100%.
yeah.
Seen them a ton. Um, Real Big Fish. But, and like Rancid, like the kind of like fake British pop
Yeah.
punk. Uh, so yeah, I was really into a lot of stuff. I also grew up in a house where my dad was also a musician and he played a ton of black music. So I grew up on like Motown, soul, R&B, and I always loved it. And so my CD collection when I was a kid was very eclectic.
Yeah.
And like as that band grew, we ended up like writing a lot of original music. And you know, it was funny how like listening back to it because it started in the pop punk world and then we all started smoking weed and then it kind of moved towards the like Sublime style.
Yeah.
But like it was still, you know, Sublime's still kind of in that pop punk world, obviously.
Hmm.
So it wasn't. I was probably about 15 or 16 in high school, and my buddy was like, "Hey, I'm graduating. My parents got me these Phish tickets. Do you want to come with me? Like, if you bring the weed, I'll give you the ticket for free." And that was Fenway '09 when it was one of their first shows back. And so I went to that show and I was like, whatever's happening here is what I want to do. This is fucking amazing. And then I went home and I bought a couple of their records on iTunes
Yeah.
and I went on LimeWire and I downloaded a bunch of random Phish jams, like live jams, which ended up being mostly Big Cypress shit. So in like a live one, I got the CD, and then I just like started going down that road. So by the time went to college, I was like fully Phish, Grateful Dead, and I was like jamming around campus with these other random people that I found that loved that kind of music. So it was really like college was when I started diving into the jam world fully as a
Okay.
drummer. Um, like as a listener, it was when I was like junior year of high school.
Gotcha. So what do you think before we get into like your career as a jam drummer, what do you think about your first Phish show? Like kind of made you like, fuck yeah, this is it. Like would you see something? Was it a song you heard? Like something that just kind of clicked for you?
I mean, you know, it's tough to get into the mind of 15 or 16-year-old me, but I would say that I didn't quite have this like this thought articulated in my mind yet, but I think that it's like what's happening at the jam show is a real life experience. It's an adventure. It's like something that really resonates with like the human spirit, especially I say this now, like it just becomes more and more true as people become more and more like living their lives partially on the internet. It's a real experience with so many characters. It's like the whole circus aspect of like going
Yeah.
to it and being like, anything can happen here tonight. I'm having all kinds of experiences, and it's generally benevolent. Obviously, there's some snobbery, which I've admittedly been involved in, but like for the most part, it's like this welcoming community where you can really be yourself. You can be eccentric. And I saw all of this happen all at once with no warning. There wasn't really, there was the internet, but there wasn't
Like it is
a lot of,
now.
yeah, there's no content that gave me an idea of what it was going to be like. And I didn't really look into
Mm.
it. I kind of was like, I remember I asked my buddy before we went, like, oh yeah, Phish, like, are they good? And he was like, dude, they have this 6-song Farmhouse on the radio. You're going to love them. And I was like, all right, tight. But they fucking, that show, I still listen back to it. It's a sick show. And I was totally hooked. Like, I got home and was like, this is the greatest fucking band of all time. Like, whatever they're doing, I think the progginess of it, I've really liked, coming from like Zappa and Rush and Yes and all these prog bands that I was listening to in high school. They had that flavor. They also had a sense of humor, which really appealed to me. It was silly. It was really well done. It's kind of like the Colonel Bruce thing, where it's like, you know, take the music really seriously, but not yourself. I think that, you know, without me even really knowing, I think that totally resonated with my personality and what I'm looking for in music. So yeah, every aspect, from the culture to the spectacle to the music, just totally blew me away.
And do you still hold that that feeling today that you think that Phish is the best of all of the jam bands? Is that like still your number one?
I mean, it's dangerous to even talk about these things being in Goose now, but yeah, man. I mean, it's undeniable. Like, I have criticized Phish just as much as the next fan, but I think what they did is really important. And I also, you know, I was in a Grateful Dead cover band for a long time. A ton of Grateful Dead cover bands.
You were in Zach Nugent's Dead Set, weren't you?
Yeah. For
Okay.
like 2 years, like strong, before I joined Goose. That's the band I came from, really.
I saw you guys in St. Pete in like 2023, I think.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
That Florida. We did 9 cities in Florida. We did 7-week tour in a school bus. That was a hell of a time, man. And I've always loved the Dead. I think that I've come to the conclusion that the reason why Phish is more important to me is because I felt like I was there for it. Even though I was a late fan. I was 09 was my first show, but I wasn't there for Jerry. And part of the thing that appealed to me was the experience itself, not the novelty of it.
Yeah.
So like, I missed Jerry, and I'm sure would have had the exact same feelings, like the same experience, if I was there for when Jerry was ripping. But you know, a little like tangent here, but like, I do think that Jerry and the Dead hit the emotional mark a little better. You know, they didn't do the silly thing as much. They like kind of like, especially that 70s Dead, like, it fucking cuts to the core of me. Like, when Jerry whips out the fucking Morning Dew at Winterland, it's like, it's a special, truly human, emotional moment.
Yeah.
And Phish, you know, I've gotten like a Swept Away, and there's some Phish tunes that I feel like really do that. I feel like the record version of Swept Away, you could hear it in Trey's voice, just this honest emotion, almost like he's on the verge of tears while he's singing the tune. I feel like that was just in Jerry's bones more, and that's insane. Like, that's just one of the most powerful experiences with music, but I wasn't there for it. And with Phish, it's like, I've had all these amazing experiences, crazy experiences, great, bad. It's a trip. It's literally a trip, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool, man. Well, before we we talked a little bit Zach Nugent for a couple years, and then we got to Goose. But before we get to Goose, I want to talk about Swimmer for a little bit, because that was a band you did for a while, and it seems like there's a couple funny stories in there. But I kind of want to just hear how that band formed and what kind of style you guys were going for at first.
So that band started it started as a band called Elephant, Plymouth State University, where I went to college. I was just like jamming in the dorms with my other like hippie buddies. We were just like, you know, eating acid and fucking playing Phish tunes, playing Dead tunes, and just improvising all the time, getting kicked out of everywhere that we were playing because we weren't allowed to make music. Even in the music building, like, the chorus teacher came up one time and was like, "What do you guys think you're doing here?" And we're like, "We're just trying to play music somewhere." And they were like, "You can't do that here." And so it was like, we were kind of like these like renegade hippies that were just trying to fucking find a place to jam always. And we play house parties because there was one bar and they wouldn't let you play there until you turned 21 because it was a pretty seedy bar. And
as they happen in the Northeast.
for sure, especially Plymouth State, it's like you're in the fucking middle of the mountains. There's nothing really going on. It's like kind of just a little ski town. There's like 3,000 students at the school. But then we did this audition for a talent show, and we didn't really have songs or more just jams. And I met Matt Dolliver, who's a saxophone player. He joined the band, and that's when he was like, we should start booking gigs. The other guys were kind of like, we don't really want a gig. This is like long story short. So Matt Dolliver brought in a couple other guys that he knew, which ended up being the swimmer lineup. And then we started gigging all the time, and we were driving all around the Northeast playing shows. We were all very inspired by Phish, but we all had different, like we were all pulling from different stuff. I mean, Matt Dolliver ended up being our keyboard player and saxophone, but he was, pulling from a lot of the more like neo soul, like black music prog world. I'm obviously coming from like this pop punk background, but we all related on jam band music. And so that's what we were going for. I feel like in a nutshell, Swimmer was kind of like this jam band with like a fucking gritty attitude. Like we weren't afraid to be ourselves. We weren't like these awkward hippies. We were more like these like, fuck you, this is our music kind of hippies. Like we were like a jam band with the attitude of a punk band. And we would make like shitty fucking crude jokes on stage. And I feel like I think the personality had a lot to do with the success that we did have. And then we all graduated Plymouth State, moved to Burlington, Vermont. And at the time, there was a fucking amazing jam scene there. There's a lot of great jam bands of all kinds. And I think, we were really successful there. And like, Nectar's became like our home, and we were crushing it there, and picked up a pretty good following there. And then we would tour all the time, and ended up like opening up for bands that we really looked up to, like Pigeons and Dopapod and
Nice.
Kung Fu, and playing festivals and doing the whole thing. And it was like the best time. It was like my whole 20s was Swimmer. I was also writing a lot of the music, and I was
I want to know about a little more. You guys released an album or a show or something, and some guy in a newspaper kind of like shit on you guys. So then you released a song called "We're Not a Jam Band." Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we made this album, which admittedly isn't the greatest album of all time, but our songs were fucking weird, man. I mean, our songs were kind of like, some of them were kind of like it was almost like a Trout Mask replica vibe. I don't know if you're familiar, but Captain Beefheart was this dude who grew up with Frank Zappa, and he was just like a way more twisted mind than Frank Zappa, believe it or not. He wasn't as like, intellectual, but he did this record called Trout Mask Replica, where he basically just took like 50 songs and just cut and pasted them all into this one fucking monstrosity. And it's like one of those records where like, it's like the true snobs of rock and roll are like, this is the greatest masterpiece of all time. And then other people are like, this is nonsense. Yeah. And we would kind of do that too. It was kind of like we would just write a song section by section and like almost pass it around, so everyone would kind of have their voice, but it didn't all flow that well together. But it made a very unique album. And then we put our fucking heart and soul into it. And this local newspaper in Vermont, in Burlington, in a place that we
Jam heavy, yeah.
jam heavy, but also just like a place where that was the core of our following and our home, and we felt like we were accepted there for who we were. And then this guy just absolutely shredded us and was like, these guys are just trying to be Phish and they're fucking terrible. And we were like,
Fuck
I don't
'em.
think we're not trying to be Phish, but we're Phish inspired. But like, I don't know, it was mainly just like the proggy side, the long songs, not good singing. You know, I was like the lead singer, and the singing wasn't great. But
So a little like Phish.
yeah, fucking A. So yeah, in those ways, yes, it was like Phish. But and then we did this residency like right after that, and we were all very salty about it. And then I like clipped together a bunch of random shit from like our banter, and created We Are Not a Jam Band, which is like a bunch of little clips of banter that I put together just to put on that little like live album that we made.
That's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, so Swimmer, then Zach Nugent, and then you got into Goose. What was that whole process of like? I'm always curious, like when one drummer leaves and they have to replace them. Like, what's that process look like to come on?
Oh, it's a fucking trip, dude. I mean, yeah, it's, you know, I knew Goose before. The Goose played with Swimmer in Burlington. So I knew them. I knew they were a great band and that all of them were great musicians. And I knew Peter because Swimmer used to play with Great Blue. So yeah, Peter was the one who reached out. He just asked if I wanted to come jam. I wasn't really like staying up to date with any of what was going on. But yeah, once meeting the boys was basically the TED tape. So it was all improv and it just vibed immediately. The improv and us as people just like vibed immediately. It was like really comfy. The vibe that they put out is not, you know, pompous or intimidating at all. And it was just a really good time. And then when it came to learn the tunes for the cap, like once I was in the band, it was just like, man, it was a trip because it's like you want to do this music justice the way that it's been, like the way that it's come up and people have loved it. But also like I have my own voice and I wanted to put that in there. So it was a trip, and the songs are, you know, there's a lot of songs, and I didn't really know any of them like well before I joined the band. So it was a lot of work.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about there being like a lot of songs, but you brought a couple songs from Swimming to Goose, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know, Rick reached out, like, you know, after our first summer tour and was like, send me some of your music. And so I sent him some tunes, and he picked out Meter Maid and Media. And Meter Maid was a song that was pretty collaborative with Swimmer. It was like a song that I wrote. I wrote the main parts and the lyrics, but we wrote it as a band for sure. You know, a lot of those licks are like classic Joe Agnello licks, like guitar player for Swimmer. And like, yeah, that was one of our like staple Swimmer songs. So it's cool that he picked that one because it's like kind of, it's like, you know, paying respect to the Swimmer legacy. And then Media was a song that I wrote on my computer by myself during COVID. That was just supposed to be like I'm fucking going crazy sitting at home on my goddamn computer. And there's like no gigs and I'm losing my goddamn mind. And it was supposed to be this kind of like manic fucking like, yeah, like I'm losing it and social media is driving me fucking crazy. And like mixed in with whatever else is rattling around in my brain. And it was funny to me that Rick picked that one because it was one of my more like silly songs. I've written a lot of songs like that. Like I've probably written hundreds of songs just alone on my computer that are mostly like MIDI keyboard shit. And that was one of them.
Okay.
It was pretty much just all MIDI instruments with I play guitar on the demo. But yeah, I mean, Rick, God bless him, fucking appreciated it. And I feel like this tour we finally got it together for real, like because it was a song that Swimmer played it, but it was a later song. We only played it after COVID, and we didn't play that much after COVID. So we never really fleshed it out as a band, and it was a song that we kind of just added on the Goose, like we added into Goose without a lot of forethought. We were kind of just like, let's just go for it. And then I feel like this tour, it's kind of reached its final form. Like it's actually starting to cook now, and we know what to do with it more now than we did before.
Yeah, I'm sure that's kind of a bit of a learning curve too, like writing a song and playing with one band and then going to a whole different band and trying to learn a different kind of approach on it. That's pretty interesting.
For sure.
I feel though, is since you've joined Goose, your dynamic drumming has kind of brought an openness to some of the jamming that Goose is doing. Now, your idea of like being in the pocket for those openness of jams, are you kind of latching more onto Rick or latching more onto Trevor? Like, what does it kind of look like for you to know when to stay there and blast off?
I mean, I guess it's kind of tough to say. I feel like my style of drumming is just trying to be musical and expressive, and then also simultaneously holding down the groove. I think that's something that Fishman does really well, that I've always really loved, like that principle of his playing. And a lot of other drummers, like the guy that Bon Iver has, it's the same deal. It's like there's got to be a backbone somewhere in the four limbs. You got to have the groove first, but adding expression and personality and playfulness is what makes it interesting, and not just like a drummer playing a beat as like, that you would hear from a MIDI drummer on Logic, which like, a recording software. It's so, I'm kind of in those moments. It's like, okay, the classic thing is my kick drum is always communicating with Trevor. The relationship between a drummer's kick foot and the bass is super important, especially in like funk music. Funk music, they're locked in. They're doing pretty much the same thing. When you're jamming, it's like there could be some interplay there, but and sometimes I'll put all four limbs to Trevor. Sometimes I'll spread them around the whole band. That's kind of how I look at it, though, is like something has to be holding the groove, whether it be my left foot on the hi-hat pedal, maybe it's my right hand on the hi-hat or the ride, and then I can kind of separate the rest of my limbs to interact with what's going on musically. I think like it can change at any moment how I approach that. It's really just kind of like, it's what I'm hearing in my ears, and it's kind of like, you learn vocabulary so you can articulate what you want to say better, and you don't have to think about it in a conversation. I've never been as good at like, at expressing myself with words. Like I wouldn't be a great writer, like in terms of like writing a book.
Yeah.
But it's a similar thing. It's like I practice a lot of tedious chop work, not so that I can go out there and chop it up and show how flashy good I am. It's more so that I have all these tools that I can just pull from without thinking about it when I want to respond or be expressive in any given moment. And then you kind of just hope that it works out. I mean, I think the nature of jamming is that it's not always
A
going to
little
work
bit of faith.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, faith and just being okay, like not being so prideful that you have to put on this perfect shiny show. So it's like, it's part of the experience for everyone. It's like we go up on stage, we don't know what the fuck's going to happen, but we're going to take chances and rely on the fact that we're all connected. We all have each other's backs musically, and we all inspire each other as people and and with our instruments. So the crowd is there with us as equals for that experience, to see what happens on any given night with all the variables that go into it, from the vibe of the day before the show to the vibe of the weather during the show to the crowd to the surroundings to how each one of us is feeling. There's so many variables, and that's kind of the fucking beauty of it, right? That's what makes it a trip for us and the crowd.
Yeah. So going kind of off of what we were just talking about, keeping the groove with Trevor or Rick, whoever it may be, one limb, keeping it on. On the exact opposite of that, it kind of seems like it might be like in Goose lore now, but the drum solo that you did in Spokane a little while ago.
Yeah.
I have so many questions about that, but the first one would just be like, kind of what's going through your head when like you don't have to wait for Trevor, you don't have to wait for Rick. It's kind of just like balls to the wall, go ahead, Cotter. Like, what's kind of in your mind when you're doing that?
I mean, it's a good question. I've never really been like kind of going back to what I said, just previously here. I'm not really like a chop drummer. Like, I've never wanted to be a drummer that goes out there and is just like, look what I can do. Like, I'm so fucking good,
Yeah.
That's definitely not my vibe at all. But I am hugely inspired by John Bonham, and he took a lot from the jazz drummers before him, like the bebop drummers, and put it in this he was very he arranged his drum solos so they were musical just on a drum kit, same way like Max Roach did before him, like a legend of the jazz world. But I think so. A lot of like the flash and the arrangement, I'm really inspired by. Like, if you watch those old Moby Dick solos by Bonham, it's just super unique, wild experience to watch this guy fucking rip. It's got this like unbridled rock and roll energy mixed with these jazz principles. So definitely pulling from that. Like, I started that solo with my hands on the drums, which is a Bonham move. And but then like I think my go-to with the solo is then I go into a groove. So like, just like I do in a jam, I want there to be a backbone. I want there to be people can like bob their heads with, and then I just kind of go. I can't think about it too much. I try to add motifs in, so it would be like a rhythmic phrase that I repeat. It's just like in a song, but it's on a drum kit, so it's not melodic, and it's not how normal like people would think about, or they wouldn't hear that and be like, oh, that's the melody. But it essentially is, in terms of arranging a drum solo, is you have these rhythmic motifs, and then you express whatever you want to in between them, and those kind of are like the pillars of what's going on. I mean, I'm no genius when it comes to a drum solo. It's more of a visceral thing for me.
How important is the crowd's energy for you while in the solo too? Like, are you feeding off that more than you think you are, or is that kind of like, I need this to keep going?
Oh no. You just gotta go for it. I mean, it's obviously always nice when the crowd is into it. Like, sometimes I'll do something random and the crowd will like, get really loud, and I'll be like, oh, that works. Cool. Like, oh, they like that one.
Yeah.
But that's great. But I feel like, to be honest, I'm fucking scared. Part of it is like, it's kind of like soldier in battle kind of thing, where it's like, there's a lot fucking going on. But if you overthink it, that's when you're going to be in trouble. So I just try to let it fucking loose,
Yeah. Well, you definitely did in that one, the Moby Dick one.
Yeah, I mean, it was Bonham's birthday. I would never request to do a drum solo, but I also just fucking love Led Zeppelin. So I was like, all right, this is an excuse for us to play a Led Zeppelin song, because I just want to do that always. Um, and yeah, and I'm like something was in the air that night where I was like, I'll fucking rip a drum solo for these people. And yeah, it worked out. It seemed like people really dug it. It was also like right after we did the Trevor reads poetry right into the drum solo. And it was kind of like that silly vibe that I love. It's like we do a serious song. We did Redbird, which is like a great tune written by Peter. And then instead of jamming, we go straight into Trevor reading fucking poetry. And then we do a Led Zeppelin song with a drum solo. It's like very
That's fun.
fucking silly, all over the place thing. It's fun for us and hopefully fun for the audience. So I think that night really worked out. It was cool.
My last question regarding the drum solo is, you mentioned that like the drums is a four-limb thing. How like exhausted are you after a drum solo like that? You're just going balls to the wall for 5, 7 minutes. Like you got to be exhausted afterwards.
I mean, I don't know. I've always been a long distance kind of guy. Yeah, I've
Okay.
always had pretty good endurance. So luckily, and I try to like as much as I can on the road, I'm doing cardio workouts. So, because I'm
Okay.
33. So in my 20s, I was like smoking butts while I was fucking ripping drum solos, and I was like, fuck yeah, it's rock and roll, and like didn't have to think about it at all. Now I quit smoking and I'm ripping a ton of Zins, but uh, I'm also like going to the gym and doing cardio all the time. So, because it is a thing, it's like now I have to take care of my body, not just for me, but to do the music justice. So, you know, like right now, you're catching me at the end we're on week 4 of this tour. We've been sleeping in a bus. We've been through a lot of shit, 3 time zones, fucking, now I'm tired, but
Yeah.
generally I don't get tired. I'm pretty, yeah, I'm pretty fucking wired. I think you kind of have to be a kind of a psychopath to be a musician, but to be a drummer specifically, I think whatever that gene is, I got it. Like I'm glad I found the drum kit because it just works for my fucking crazy mind and energy. Like I'm a skinny dude, and I just want to keep going. It's like a fucking primal
Yeah.
power in there that just I don't really get tired.
Do you have like a pre-show and pre-show routine that's kind of unique or different, you think, that kind of gets you in that mode?
Yeah, like Goose has the cacao ceremony, which is like a meditation. It's really nice with these 2 girls, Hannah and Kate, that lead it. That's really nice. And we do vocal warm-ups. I think right before the show, depending on what my vibe is, drink some caffeine. Yeah, maybe have a beer. I'm never trying to get fucked up for a Goose show.
Yeah.
But uh, yeah, and then I like to just fucking yell random shit before we go on stage from the chest. I like to just get in this fucking zone where it's like I'm a goddamn animal about to go out for a hunt kind of vibes. And it's
I love
like,
that primal.
yeah, I think that's part of what keeps me going. And it also keeps my mind from being like, oh, there's so many people out there and I hope we don't fuck up. It's kind of just like, no, let's fucking go get it. Let's like go take this show. And,
Fuck yeah, man.
it's a
That's
silly
awesome.
thing. I'm not taking myself all seriously over here like I'm some kind of fucking, like Viking warrior, but I gotta like put it inside myself. And then we all fucking laugh. I'll yell something, I'll grunt, and we all giggle about it. And then we get on stage and that's that.
Well, man, we're coming up on our time here now, and I don't want to keep you
Cool.
too long, but I have a buddy named Dustin who loves Goose. He lives in Montana, and I was like, hey, man, I'm interviewing Cotter. Do you have any questions you want me to ask him? And he said, the raccoon hat that you wear sometimes, is that the same one that was thrown on stage or thrown to you in Missoula last year?
You know, I hate to say it because I know the girl who threw it on stage and she's super sweet. Um, But I didn't know that she threw it on stage at the time. It made it back onto our bus, and we were like, we can't wear a hat that some random person threw on stage. So no, it's not. I bought that hat when I was hiking in the Rocky Mountains. Yeah, so I was before I was in Goose, I was hiking in the Rockies, and I went to this gas station, and they had these coonskin hats, and I bought one for me and for my girlfriend, and that's the one I wear. But she's told me like I've met her. She's like, that's my hat that you're wearing, and I haven't had the heart to tell her that it's not the same one. And if I had known it was from her, I know. And if I had known it was her, I would have worn it for sure. But that's why I was kind of like, fuck yeah. Like obviously the fans of Goose are some of the best in the world. They're amazing people. She actually went out and bought me a bunch of vests, some of which I've worn on this tour.
Nice.
So, yeah, dude. Fucking shout out to her. She's the shit. I'm sorry, it's not the same hat. The truth comes out.
All right, man. Well, you guys have a great show tonight. I know you guys got MSG later this week too, right?
Yeah, Saturday night.
Saturday night, man. Was there before we wrap up and I let you go, is there anything you want to plug? This will probably come out in a couple weeks.
Oh, I'm still playing with my Zeppelin cover band, which is like all my homies. It's the bass player and the guitar player from Swimmer, Nico DeLisa, who sang with Goose at Goosemas last year on Kashmir, and a couple other fucking amazing musicians. And it's like my best friends that I've been playing with for 10 years. And we're going to still be playing shows. I'll still be playing shows a bunch in Burlington. So, yeah, come and hang out, and I'm always just chilling. If you want to come say what's up, come see the show. I can't stop playing. I'm sick in the head. So keep an eye out on my Instagram and come say hi.
Hell yeah, Cotter. Well, thanks so much, man. Hopefully we can somewhere down the road do this again in person.
Oh yeah, man.
You just got jammed.
Welcome back from that interview with Cotter from the band Goose. That's pretty cool. Someone from Goose came on the pod.
Yeah, absolutely sick. I think that's such an honor. Khloe's Corner time.
Corner time.
And this was just in happenstance. Khloe's Corner is dedicated to a Madison Square Garden Goose review.
Oh, man.
Huh.
We're good at just doing that thing where it goes
cutting in and out. It really doesn't like the look of me. Before we begin, I have my beautiful sparkling limeade.
Can I have a sip of that one?
Yeah, absolutely. By Devil's Foot. I like how they put sunglasses on all the fruits. I think that's a really nice touch.
Future so bright. That's what it says on all of them. Future so bright, sparkling limeade.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so this Khloe's Corner, I guess, would be dedicated to Dustin. We were supposed to have Moon Shroom on today, but then a little change of plans and scheduling. That one will be on Monday. So I figured, people are going to be traveling this weekend, going to and fro.
Oh, yeah, good call. Look at you.
So a nice little Goose episode might be good to bring in a few new fans. Goose.
Yeah, so Dustin, this one's for you because you did request it and it wasn't going to work out that way, but look at you. You spoke into the universe and here we are.
Here we are.
First off, okay, so it ended up being about a 4-hour show.
We're talking about the MSG one,
Madison
correct?
Square Gardens,
Okay.
yes. This was a couple days ago. 3 maybe?
I think it was Saturday.
It was
Today's
on the
Tuesday.
28th, June 28th. So it ended up being a 4-hour show.
So
They went an hour past curfew. And I was
I
looking
think
into
that's
I think it was pre-agreed
Yeah.
upon. Yeah. I think that when people are like, we're going past curfew, it's like, you're just saying that for the hype.
the gig is up.
Yeah, the gig is up, I finally found you. But, so I agree. But, so they did go an hour past their expected time. And I do know that some venues, when it's not agreed upon prior, have curfews,
Yeah, there's a fine.
fines.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to look up how much it would be, and I just thought this was really funny. So a lot of people were saying for Madison Square Gardens, it's $10,000 a minute. And then someone commented and was like, well, Drake said that it was $25,000 a minute. And someone replied to that saying, yeah, but Drake's a bitch. And I just thought that was really funny, the thought of more than doubling someone's fine just because they're a bitch.
They used to say that at, like, the amphitheater that was in Virginia Beach when I grew up. Like, every minute over is this much money. I think it's
Really?
all just...
It's all a farce.
I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe there... I bet for outdoor venues it is. But like, Madison Square Garden's inside...
Yeah, outdoor makes
There's
sense.
basketball and hockey games there, and if they go into overtime, where they gonna be like, "Hey guys, curfew's up,
Yeah.
finish up."
But I guess there's no, like... Yeah, it's inside, so there wouldn't be a noise ordinance, would there?
Yeah, I don't know the logistics of all that.
Me either. But, so I tried to do a little research on it, and I just thought that comment about Drake was funny.
I thought the most Goose thing ever was for them to open that show up with, "What the hell is up, everybody?"
Yeah, and I'm like, what the fuck is up? And they're like, what the hell is up, guys?
Yeah, they just came out so like,
We're here to party, you ready?
just like you expect Goose to.
Yeah, like, it's a very stereotypical Goose way to come out. I can admire that.
That is one thing I learned from the Cotter interview is,
Did they lean into it?
nah, I just thought he was like, I feel like anything I've seen with Rick or Peter, those are the only guys I've seen do like any type of podcast or stuff.
Yeah.
They seem very like clean cut and kind of like, I don't want to use the word put together, but like just like clean cut and like
By the book.
By the
like,
book, yeah.
Yeah.
And Cotter didn't really seem that way.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
That's nice.
Which kind of surprised me, yeah.
I do feel like the drummer is secretly typically the odd one out.
That's what he was like. He was like, you have to be pretty much a psycho to be a musician. You have to be like a special kind of psycho to want to be a drummer.
I mean,
Yeah.
what was that movie we watched with the drummer?
Oh yeah, that's a really good movie. I want to say Spitfire, but that's not it.
Like fucking Leadfoot, Turnpike. It's something. Whoa! I feel like I just had it.
It's that guy Miles Teller drum movie. Whiplash.
Whiplash. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that movie is impressive.
Yeah.
That movie is very cool.
Cotter was also talking about like your limbs. He was like all four of my, and I never thought about that.
Yeah, because you
like,
got your
yeah.
cymbals, your bass drum, yeah. I've always thought that is like this MSG show. That's a 4-hour workout that man just did. You know how like before and after races they weigh race car drivers. Mm-hmm. I feel like you should do that with a drummer.
I feel like it's yeah.
Like for an outdoor show.
I was gonna say it's just in your forearms, but then it's
No,
not.
you're kicking and pedaling and stomping. You're stomping the whole time.
Yeah, and he was saying like sometimes in jams I'll like attach these limbs to Trevor and then like these limbs to Rick.
Oh wow!
And I was like, that
is crazy.
Insane.
Because I can't even rub my stomach and pat my head, so I can't even think about like I have to follow this person and this person, do two different things with two different halves of my body. That is insane.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Cool
interview.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear. I didn't get to hear you edit this one, so I haven't heard this one
Yeah.
either. So the day we're listening to this all together is also the day I'm listening to it.
Yeah.
I typically get a sneak peek into most of the interviews, but
This one is
so back to the show.
Oh yeah, I feel like I just kept this.
No, that's okay because
Interrupting.
you know how my brain works. My notes are all over the place anyway. So,
Knock knock.
knock knock.
Mm-hmm.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
that with all the love in my heart. That is what living with you is like. And I love it. Oh God, do I love you so much. It is so funny. You are a little interrupting. You're not a cow. My baby gets excited to speak. Okay, so they opened up the show with an Elfie air horn. And as soon as I was like, there's the first note. Elfie air horn. Got a shout out the king always. So I raised this question to Dustin listening to this show. Do you think... Let me pose the whole question, then we'll narrow into the answer. So I feel like with comparing this show to the Halloween show that we saw of Goose, this show, this Madison Square Garden show, was very energetic. It was very high energy, and I feel like our Halloween show was not that high energy. Do you think it like becomes hard for bands? How do I want to word this? Do you think there's a difference between festival energy and arena energy? Because in an arena, you know, everyone there is there for you, but at a festival, everyone is like, they could just be sitting there to pass time till the next show.
I think that it's still blurry for some reason, so people watching on YouTube, I'm sorry, but...
Sorry, guys, you're not going to see me shake this ass.
I think there's a difference between playing MSG and then playing a festival.
I guess that makes sense.
Now,
yeah, it is Madison Square Garden.
I think everyone, like you said, who's there, people traveled for that show, so it's like we got to put on... I think it's like that and like Red Rocks, or like those are two places people are like, oh, we get to play this, we got to pop off.
Yeah.
But I think with festivals, I think playing a set like they did at that Halloween was crazy because it was so slow. Hi, we're back. It was so slow, and like we were fans of Goose, and we didn't want to stay for it.
Yeah.
So like if you're a person who's trying to get into Goose, or you're hearing for Goose for the first time, and you hear that set, you're like, oh, okay, I'm not missing much. So I always would think in my head that like, other than like your MSG and your like Red Rocks or like whatever bucket list, you know, like what's the one in the Gorge in Washington everyone likes?
Yeah.
There's like those like bucket list ones, but then I feel like a festival would want to be your most like upbeat and fun set because you want to bring people in.
Yeah, that's when you're reaching the most like new people.
That's what we talked about with that Sam.
I guess we did talk about that with Sam.
Sam, yeah.
I just, from someone that has zero musical performance experience, I would find it hard to like want to perform to my 100% when I know that less than half the fans there are actually there for me. It's probably not less than half, but realistically at a festival, it's like, I would find it hard to want to put on a good show. Whereas if I'm in an arena, or I'm like, if I'm in an arena, everyone is in there for me specifically, or like just a dedicated show for them.
I bet you could ask like 50 people at an Andy Frasco concert and ask them like why they're there, and they'd be like, I saw him at a festival one time and I want to see him again.
Yeah.
Because like he plays a lot of festivals and he's always doing his fun things.
It's so fun.
So like I would imagine that, I think I'm a little loud today. I would imagine that he gets a lot of people like coming back, because like, you know, I had a bunch of friends that are like super into jam that went to Bonnaroo, and they were like, dude, Dogs in a Pile is so sick. And it was like, yeah, of course you saw that super sick set, but like, you know, if they saw like
our Asheville set, maybe
I still think that was a really. I
mean, I
Dogs
thought
in a
that
Pile
was
is a bad
fire.
example because I fucking love them, but
it was a fire.
But you know what I mean? Like people, Dogs in a Pile knew they had a chance to play. They played in front of like 7,000 people.
Yeah,
they don't get to do that a lot.
Yeah.
So like that's a chance that even if you do like a 10% conversion rate on that, that's 700 new fans.
I guess though, when you're as big as Goose, are you like always thinking about, we gotta get more fans, or is it like we cater to the one, like they're the biggest jam band, undeniably? Do you think there's like a point where they get so big to where they stop thinking about like, we got to perform this way because this is our chance to get more fans, as opposed to like, we got to give our 100 at this arena because everyone here is here for us?
Truly,
I wonder if there's like a...
Truly, they should just do what they think is right, like artistically, right? Like that's probably the answer most people would give. But I agree too that there's got to be like in the back of your mind, like,
yeah, because like Dogs in a Pile, they are still one of the smaller jam bands compared to Goose.
Yeah.
So their thoughts are, we have to play these shows, and when we're at these festivals, we play our bangers, we go hard, we do our fun covers, we do this, because we're still trying to grow. But then like you got Goose, you got like, I don't even know, other big people. I feel like they're probably not. It's not the mindset of like we have to grow anymore. It's like, we're at Madison Square Garden, we got them all.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I don't.
I don't
You
know.
like to
Neither of us know.
You like to think that. Yeah, you're right. Neither of us.
Neither of us have any experience with these.
But I'm talking about like doing anything that you really like. Like imagine if I got Billy Strings in the podcast. I wouldn't just be like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that would be like the best person I could interview, like in my mind.
That's your white whale.
Yeah, exactly. So like
but
I
it
wouldn't.
doesn't stop once you reach that.
Once I reach that, I'd be like, holy shit! Now I can really get like a bunch more people.
Yeah.
So that's probably how like oh shit, we played MSG. Maybe now we can do 3 nights at MSG, or maybe we can go do this.
Does Phish play MSG for New Year's?
I think they sold out MSG like 13 nights in a row.
That's crazy. Because I saw
someone comment on one of the Goose things, and they were like, "Yeah, this is really cool."
Have you seen Phish?
It was like that's what I feel like. I feel like Phish and Goose get this. I always say this, I think, on the podcast, but Phish and Goose always get the hate. But I feel like Phish fans hate on Goose the most.
Oh, do you think so?
I just feel like it's always people being like, they're trying to be Phish, they're not Phish, which I don't think.
I don't see that at all.
Me either.
I think that you can have competition and not have it be like, I don't know, linear. Like you don't have to be on the same plane to be competition, but
Yeah. Okay. The Baker's Dozen was a series of 13 concerts performed by Phish between July 21st and August 6th, 27. That's crazy.
How many, sorry?
13 concerts between July 21st and the 6th. That's pretty close to every night.
That's crazy.
Each night featured a complete, unique set list with no songs repeated throughout the event, with the band playing 237 songs in total.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I do really want to see Phish still. I
Yeah,
may
me too.
not like listening to them all that much, but I do know that a Phish show will be a good time.
Yeah, I agree. And I
We'll
feel like
get
it's one of those bands, like, you would see it, and it would be like, okay.
I mean, like Andy Frasco.
Yeah.
We were not really sold on Andy Frasco. We're like, his music is kind of, like, corny. And then we go to the show, and, like, all this guy's trying to do is bring out positive music and let people have fun. And you go there, and you have fun, and you feel positive afterwards. And you're like, okay, I get it.
Even with, like, I have been listening to Widespread Panic for a while, but I never was, like, and then since I've seen them,
yeah,
I started
right. I'm listening to them more too. Yeah, they're like part of my rotation. I do. Yeah, that is true. You do need to see them, and I do hate that my one Goose experience was Halloween, because every single time we've tried to see them since, something's like stopped.
Yeah, because we were going to see them at the pier.
We were going to see them at the pier, and then the pier got broken.
And then I was going to see them last weekend in Mountain Jam.
And then your flights got canceled. And
then
I feel like there was one more. There was one more thing. But aren't we seeing them? Are they coming
They're
to
going to be at
Halloween this
Halloween.
year?
They're playing 2 sets of Halloween.
2 sets at Halloween. So, Cotter, if you're listening this far in, 2 sets.
He wasn't in the band at that time. Maybe that's why.
Oh, he's going to bring it for us.
I don't even know if that Ben dude was in the band or they just had one drummer at that time. No, they had to have. It had to have just been. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even recall. You said you really liked My Mind Has Been Consumed by Media, funny enough, which is a Cotter song.
Yeah, I think that's a good song because I don't think there's not really. This is my hot take still about Goose. I think their studio stuff is better than their live stuff because their jams don't go that many places, but they're really good musicians.
So, breaking my line and to kind of agree with you, so going all the way down to where they started playing Tumble in their set, it was the 13th song. They played a 20-minute, 51-second Tumble, and in it, there was a build, and then you plateau. There was a plateau, and like you kept that same energy of like I built up to here, and you're just like stagnant at that build. And so I was a little disappointed at that point, and I was like, my little notes say I fuck with the guitar and Tumble, but the jam didn't go anywhere. And then I said reviews say otherwise. Energy in the building was ecstatic. Everyone was like raving about this. And then they played Creatures. They played Shamalama Ding Dong, which I thought was really fun. The keys in it. I've been trying to pay a lot of attention to the keys recently, and I think that was fun. But then they went back into Tumble, and that was like the most exciting part of the show for me. It made me like, I was charting. I was listening to this entire show. It took me 12 hours of my shift to listen to this 4-hour show.
It's not too bad.
It's not terrible, no. And I didn't have headphones, so everyone around me was also listening.
Oh, you were that person at work?
I was, for the entire 12 hours. I told Dustin I was going to give a review, and
That's crazy. Did your coworkers say anything?
I told them they weren't allowed to. But the nice thing was, so I was working with Theo, who goes to Halloween, who knows Goose, who likes string cheese, like he's in with it. And then my other friend, Branton, he is like this sweet southern man, and he was like, I tried to explain to him jam bands, and then 30 minutes later he was like, now, can you tell me again what you consider this rock music? And I was like, what? And I wish I remember what he called it. He like made up jam band, but with like rock rhythm music, something like that. I was like, you talking about jam bands? And he was like, yeah, I think that's what you said. And so I turned it up a little more for him. I was like, well, listen to this one. But anyway, I digress. I was that person at work for the entire 12-hour shift, yes.
Honestly, though, at work, people always play different kind of music, and I'm just happy.
And I never, I never do that. I don't play things out loud on my phone. I don't ever do that. There's one nurse I work with that does it every single time, and she does annoy me. But I was like, I get one shift. I told Dustin I would listen. I want to give him an accurate review of this show. And so I listened to it. It took my whole 12-hour shift. But when they went back into Tumble, that, I have it written, it gave me chills. You know when, like, a song excites you to the point where it, like, hitches your voice a little bit when you breathe? Like a...
Yeah.
I did that. I think that was really cool. I think that was a very cool transition back into Tumble. I think they did great on that. But it took 20, 32, 33, 30, 40. It took 40 minutes from Tumble to Tumble. So, you know...
What did you say
So,
first?
I said, so, you know, in my mind, you built me up, and then for 40 minutes, I had to wait.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, no, those...
I understand 20-minute jams, but within that 20-minute jam, you have your peaks and your valleys.
Yeah.
So, but I think when they did go back into Tumble, that was very, very sick. That was super cool. And then my next note after that was petition to put Harrelson behind every song with the word Jed in it.
I agree.
So Jedstone Harrelson, which is, they played Jedstone after Tumble. Tennessee Jed Harrelson.
Are there any other ones with Jed in it?
I feel like there must be, but I'll find them. That's my...
My name is Jed.
Yeah, my name is Jed Harrelson.
Oh, it's My Name is Jonas. That's the song. My name is Jonas.
That's every time you talk about your friend Jonas, that's the only thing that comes to my head. No other things, just my name is Jonas. And
I
then
think the edibles hit me.
yeah, probably. I'm a rambly little rat right now.
We
aren't
kind
I?
of jumped around everywhere.
Yeah, I'm all over the show because now I'm going back to the middle of my notes. Animal was really sick.
Yeah.
They had sax, trombone, and a trumpet in it. Really fucking cool. You know I love my brass instruments. Super cool.
when they bring out... Oh, man.
Oh, sleepy baby.
That's cool when they bring out not actual, like, new members of the band.
Yeah, so Stuart Bogey on sax, Dave Nelson on trombone, and Andrew McGovern on trumpet.
Nice. That's probably sick for those dudes. Good for them.
But I really liked Animal. Second set starts with a 22-minute thatch, and I thought that was a really cool opener.
It sounds like you really liked it, other than in between Tumble and Tumble.
So yeah, it wasn't bad. I would listen to it again, but I wouldn't pay as much attention to it, if that makes sense. I wouldn't think about listening to it. But then this one was just funny. The song Don't Leave Me This Way gives Mamma Mia vibes. I know you haven't seen it, but there's a song that goes, did you not recall our last summer? That's the only part I know, but that song made me think of that, and when I thought of that, I snorted at work, and so I had to add it to my notes. Yeah. So yeah. That is. Oh, and then the second set also started with an Elfie air horn. So.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Damn, I wonder if they do that a lot.
I know. I wonder. I wouldn't know because I don't watch that much. I do have just a couple other little tidbits. How long are we? I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Kendall Street Company released a new song today.
I listened to it already.
I did too. Okay.
Me and My Lady, is that what it's called?
Yeah, so Me and My Lady, Kendall Street Company, it came out, I think today, right? July 1st, 1st of July, Tuesday. Everyone go listen, download, show your moms. So they said that they were going for like a widespread panic vibe.
I saw, was that on Brian's story?
Yeah. I give it Clutch meets Jason Aldean.
Who's Clutch?
100011 10101.
What?
Periodic table is a sense of peace of mind. That made me cough.
I might have to clip
I'll
that
show-
one and put it on the Instagram.
I like Clutch. And
Jason Aldean, that's disrespectful to my boys.
it's got a little country in it. It's still, because it's going to be on the same album as
Yeah.
Some Kind of Party in Here, which we frequently listen to. I've got to say, you guys did it.
I watched the music video like 4 times.
The music video is like pinned on our YouTube at the moment because we watch it so much. I'll save this one for next week. But
He keeps calling the guitar player Jerry too in that song.
really,
Me and My Lady, he's like, "Go ahead now, Jerry. Tear it up, Jerry." He says it like 4 times.
tear it up. This has nothing to do with anything, but I think it's really nice. You know that guy Louis Capaldi?
Louis Capaldi.
He has hair.
Oh.
But he took a 3-year mental health break and he came back last week. And
Nice.
it was really nice to see, and I just wanted to celebrate that on here. I have like a soft spot for him for some reason. He's like got terrible Tourette's and like terrible anxiety and terrible depression. And the entire time he was like performing, he would just break down on stage or like not be able to make it through. And eventually he was just like, I don't think I could do this. And went away and then just didn't talk about when he was going to come back. Well, he finally came back. And I think he did that like
Glastonbury.
Yes. I think he did a show there and that was his first show back. And like
It's a big
when
show
you
to do
search
back.
his name on Google, they put like a little banner that was like happy to have you back or something, Louis Capaldi. And I just thought it was really nice. I think that was something to celebrate.
Nice. Shouts out Louis Capaldi.
Shouts out Louis Capaldi.
Hope you listen, dude.
Yeah, dude, I'll reach out. We'll get you on. And then I started the Charlie Crockett, Joe Rogan today in the car. I'm only 20 minutes in, so that'll be a next week topic. But I did start it. So far, all they've talked about is if the moon landing is real and movies, scary movies. Again, musicians with their scary movies. But
Yeah, I don't know.
He only likes classics. He doesn't like the new.
Like Scooby-Doo?
I was scared of Scooby-Doo. I could only watch that one with the shrunken heads.
A Scooby-Doo?
A Scooby-Doo. And then my last topic.
Okay.
I've been rewatching Lord of the Rings, and it's been really nice for me.
It's because I went out of town for the weekend and I can't get into Lord of the Rings, so she watched them.
I used to watch all 3. Like, I had a best friend growing up. Khloe was also her name. It was not just me. I split personality. But we would, every time we would hang out, we would watch all 3 of them. We would stay up all night, watch all 3 of them in a row every single time we hung out. And I loved those. My password for everything used to be Frodo Lover 98. I am pretty sure I maybe wrote about Frodo in like all of my diaries. I was obsessed with this movie.
Frodo's not Schmeagol, right?
No, Frodo's the little hobbit that has the ring.
Oh, okay.
I was obsessed with him, and I was obsessed with Aragorn, and like everything in my life at that point had to do with those movies. And I haven't watched them since being a kid, and then you were gone. I know you don't like fantasy and shit. So I was like scrolling, couldn't find anything to watch, and I saw it pop up, and I was like, that might be nice. And yeah, I'm hooked again. I might become a Lord of the Rings nerd. I kind of want to get the books and read the books.
That's an idea.
Yeah. My mom said she was going to buy me a new book series because she took my Throne of
Magic
Glass
Treehouse.
books. That's too many. She wouldn't spend that much on me.
There is like
It was like
60,
700 or something.
700? I thought it was like 60.
I'm pretty sure there's
The
a
Magic
lot.
Treehouse?
Let's look real quick and then we could go because it's already fucking 9:10. Jesus Christ. Hold on. Magic Tree House. Oh, well, that's not gonna. How many?
What's her name? Mary? What's the lady who writes the books? It's a guy. They switch, I think.
66 fiction and 44 nonfiction, totaling 110. What do you mean?
Like, who's the
Yeah,
author?
both?
Who's the author? I feel like there was 2 authors, and they both wrote the books.
Author.
One
Mary
was-
Pope Osborne.
Mary Pope. I knew it was a Mary, but there's not another one. Maybe, I don't know why there would be 2 authors.
Yeah, they just switch back and forth.
That's what I thought, but maybe I was.
That friend Khloe that I had, we wrote a book together, and we
Was
would.
it Frodo?
No, it was a fantasy book, but no, we made our own characters. But we would switch off back and forth chapters, writing
nice.
our stories, so each chapter was from the other person.
That's pretty fun. How many chapters did you guys do?
We did quite a lot. We did it on like her computer. We had probably, we were young. We probably had 18 chapters realistically.
That's pretty good, though.
That's like half a book, right?
Depends. It could be an 18-chapter book.
I'm pretty sure one of my things was like a sentence and then next chapter. It had to be dramatic,
Yeah.
I was a real drama queen.
Nothing's changed, huh?
All right, baby, I'm ready.
Alrighty. So yeah, have a great, happy 4th of July. Yeah, enjoy your 4th of July. We'll see you Monday with Moonshroom. And then next week will be the 50th episode, too.
Next week, Monday or Tuesday? Thursday.
So Monday will be Moonshroom. Thursday will be 50th episode with Alex Bazemore and Hannah Rand. Have a great 4th of July. Have a great weekend. And remember, wherever you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Come along, have a drink with me. We can talk about the world and how the world is turned so slow. Day and night I found cars they drive and planes they fly. I look into the sun and the sky, you're so bright. It's you that I have found. Oh, and I know there's not much longer now. Or if the world would just slow down. The stars, they sail across the sky, and I could watch you dance all through the night. When the rhythm is right, oh, and I know the sun is rising now. Or if the world would just slow down. So you move with me and I'll move with you, and I could spend the rest of my life by your side. It's you that I have found. Oh, and I know not much longer now. Or if the world would just slow down. there's not much longer now. Or if the world would just slow down.